hold space for your darkness, a first responder mental health podcast hosted by me, Erin Jane, where we have conversations about what it's like to perform a first responder role and the mental health challenges that can accompany it. Hello and welcome to another episode of Mindfulness Mondays, a bonus series within the I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness First Responder Mental Health podcast. I'm your host, Erin Jane. And first of all, I would kind of just like to say thank you for your grace and understanding and compassion with allowing me to take a little bit of a break from the podcast over the last month of July. It is sometimes important to prioritize family time, and that's what I chose to do. So I am back this week, and the mindfulness topic or subject that I want to talk about today with you is gratitude and practicing being grateful for things. And the reason that I want to talk to you briefly about this today is because last weekend I turned 40. And it was something that I've been really looking forward to, and I am embracing everything that comes along with, turning a new age, entering a new decade, being in a very different part of my life now. And it made me pause, in the lead up and I guess since, and really just sort of stopped to think about, okay, this is a milestone. What do I think about it? What do I feel about it? I know a lot of people can freak out around milestone birthdays. That was not me. And especially not on this one. I've been really excited to embrace turning this age. But it did make me have pause and think about the fact that not everyone gets the privilege to turn this age. And I think we would all know people who haven't made it to 40. I've had, people in my life that I've lost that haven't had that. And so it made me pause, and it made me stop, and it made me think about the fact that, instead of freaking out over turning 40, I view it as it's really a privilege to have turned 40. And that's how I'm choosing to look at it. And, the privilege of, that I am this age, that everyone in my family is happy and healthy, that my body allows me to get up, go to the gym, work out 5 or 6 days a week, that all of those things are things that we can take for granted. And I kind of just stopped and thought about how grateful I am for all of the small things. And, my birthday was just a moment to pause and appreciate it, And I think so many of us, especially in, first responder and emergency services realm, we have so much shit going on. So much. So many things in our lives, so many, balls that we're trying to juggle. So many different things pulling at us that often we don't even contemplate, let alone allow ourselves the opportunity to stop, to pause, and to just sit and have a think about some of the things in our lives that we are grateful for and that we have gratitude for. And I think it's really easy for us to become jaded and cynical, and maybe to sometimes we talk about people wearing rose-colored glasses and how they view the world, and that analogy kind of is that people view the world in a way that it isn't really, that it isn't really like, as in they kind of view it in a bit more of a better way than it really is when they have their rose-colored glasses on. Sometimes, I think we can view it through a similar lens, but because we see the worst day in and day out, and we're exposed to the worst, and we carry the burden and the memories of some of the worst shit imaginable, that sometimes that's all we see and it's all we think about. And so I really wanted to jump on today and talk about gratitude, in the sense that I think, most people know it's out there in the zeitgeist about people who quote unquote practice gratitude. And whether that's, what sometimes people do, like a gratitude journal. And I posted, I tend to try to take a bit of a lighthearted view of things on social media, and I posted a funny video about, instead of having a gratitude journal, that I had a list of things that I hated, and I think that for us in the first responder community, sometimes we might look at these tools that are in the mental health and wellness and mindfulness field, and because of our cynicism, and because we can get jaded, and sometimes because we've just seen too much shit to think any better about the world, we kind of think it's bullshit. We think it's, frou hippie fucking nonsense. And I can't say that, in my career and in time gone by, I didn't necessarily think the same and feel the same, and, would have probably rolled my eyes at my own self, 10 years ago. But there is power in certain things that we can make space for ourselves for, and learn to practice and learn to embrace. And that is why this week, inspired by, my birthday and myself, I often talk about, walking my talk, that I don't ever come on here and try to advocate for anything that I haven't done for myself, because I don't want to, advocate for something that is fucking nonsense. And in my studies and everything that I'm doing at the moment, I'm learning so much, and really looking forward to being able to share some of those aspects with you. But yeah, so gratitude. It's not only, the way that I choose to look at it is that it's a perspective, and it's a way of looking at things that we might not normally, especially in the first responder community. And it's about not only acknowledging and appreciating like the good things in our lives. It actually forces us to look around and recognize when there are good things. And that is not something that we allow ourselves to see sometimes. We don't often choose to recognize and realize that the good things do exist, when sometimes all we see are the bad things. So, and I think as well, when it comes down to, practicing gratitude, like sometimes it's the simple things in our lives that, not that we forget about, but we become complacent about acknowledging, and that can lead us to take them for granted. So, like I said at the beginning, it's a privilege to turn another year older. It's a privilege to wake up every day. It is such the simple things that, having a spouse or a loved one in our life, that contributes wonderfully and makes our life happy. Having healthy children, having a strong and supportive social and friendship group. It's all of those things that sometimes when we do become complacent and we take them for granted, it doesn't guarantee that they're always going to be there. So showing gratitude, even expressing our gratitude to some of the people in our life, I think it plays. I think it's really important. And when it comes to gratitude, there is actual, empirical data, scientific studies that show the positive benefits of practicing gratitude, and however, in which way that you want to choose to do it. So whether it is, doesn't have to be as formal as keeping a journal, but, many of us these days, we might write notes in our, the notes thing on our phone. You can keep a notebook, beside your bed at night. You can keep it in the center console in your car. You can realistically do it anywhere that you want. You can just keep a mental checklist. It doesn't have to be this, formal documentation. But studies have shown that practicing gratitude does reduce our levels of stress, depression, and anxiety. And then it can improve our sleep quality and also increase our levels of our levels of resilience and self-esteem. So I don't think that any of those are bad things. And because gratitude is what we would, consider or classify as, like a positive emotion, when we practice it, it actually, causes an effect in our brain, and it triggers the release of dopamine and serotonin, which are neurotransmitters that help regulate our mood and our emotion. So the beautiful thing about our brain, and I think many of us would know about neuroplasticity and all that kind of thing, when we seek out positive things, when we actually sit for a moment and go, okay, what are the good things in my life? What's really positive? What am I happy with? What am I really grateful for right now? When we focus on those positive things, our brain then automatically continues to seek out positive things. And like I said, it's about perspective. So with that being said, I did promise that these episodes would hopefully be shorter. So my task, my challenge, my, encouragement for this week of Mindfulness Mondays is I want you to find 5 minutes, just 5 minutes out of your week. And I want you to think about the good shit in your life. I want you to stop everything that you're doing and, take a breath, find a moment of quiet, and really think about the good things that you have in your life. Because even in troubled times, even in dark times, there is always some light to be found. There is always some good and positive things. So if we can take a moment to focus on them, and whether you write them down, whether you speak them out loud, whether it's a mental checklist, it doesn't matter. Take that moment to think about the things that you are grateful for in your life and to express that gratitude. Even going so far as to, if you're up for it, maybe we don't tell our partners and loved ones enough how grateful we are for, being there for us, supporting us, holding the fort down while We're at work in our first responder professions, not knowing how we're going to turn back up for them, and they're still there for us, irrespective of our shitty mood, our extreme fatigue, our trauma exposure, and everything that comes along with that. So my challenge is just to take 5 minutes this week and think about the things that you're grateful for and practice gratitude and just see how you go with it. And by all means, if you find it beneficial, or you think, even if you think it's bullshit and I've led you astray, please feel free to reach out. Okay? I always love hearing from you. So yeah, that's what I'm going to leave you with this week. Practice some gratitude and think about the good shit. Okay? This has been another Mindfulness Mondays episode. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Erin Jane. And as always, let me listen in a way you've never been heard. Cheers.
Hi guys, it's Erin Jane here. Firstly, thank you for listening to I Will Hold Space for Your Darkness. This podcast really is for you, the listener, and I hope you're finding as much value in listening to these conversations as I am in having them. If you'd like to offer any feedback, suggest a subject matter, are interested in being a podcast guest, or would like to get in contact to receive first responder life and wellness coaching services, please reach out. You can find me on Instagram at Erin Jane Coaching or the dedicated podcast account, ErinJane_Darkness Podcast, or my website, www.erinjanecoaching.com. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'm so grateful to have you as part of this darkness community. Cheers.